Good evening, everyone. I'm sleep deprived, but more importantly, we got a new Gundam series announcement. And let's start with the name, because the way it's written is very different from the way it's pronounced. It's written XARX Zero, so I thought it was going to be something like XARX Zero or something, which, admittedly, it's weird, but I do kinda like. The way it's actually supposed to be pronounced, though, is Helix. Well, Helix Zero. How you get from one to the other, I have no idea, but that is the official pronunciation. And then we get to the first part of the name, which is Mobile Suit Gundam RG, with RG standing for the RG Project, which, no, has nothing to do with real great Gunpla, so that is definitely a confusing term. They don't actually tell us what RG stands for, but they do tell us what the RG Project is all about. The plan is to have different media tell different stories set in the same world, so it's a mixed media approach that we do see relatively often in anime, but oftentimes we only get like the main anime or the main manga in the West. The announcement then claims that this is the first time ever they're going to be using this kind of mixed media approach for a Gundam series, and that's just not true. In fact, a video I uploaded this week proves quite the opposite, because G-Savior did it first. They began with a radio drama, which told us about the things that happened before the movie, and then there was a video game telling us about what happened after the movie. And then there were a few other minor things as well. So that is quite literally the same thing they're trying to do with this supposedly first kind of mixed media approach. But even though it might not really be the first time that we see this kind of thing in Gundam, that doesn't mean it's going to be any less exciting, because this means that Helix Zero is going to be set in the same universe as Rogue Orbit. The anime takes place in After Apocalypse 45, and according to the announcement, it tells the story that happens 100 years before the video game, which take place in AA-135. Now, like I said, I am very sleep deprived at the moment, but I'm pretty sure that 100 years after AA-35 is 135 and not 145. In Japanese, they do specify that it happens approximately 100 years before the events of the video game, so they just made an oopsie in the English translation. But so, Helix Zero is going to be directed by Kenji Kamiyama, who is of course most famous for directing Ghost in the Shell, Standalone Complex. And he's also worked on many other famous anime, like Eden of the East, Blade Runner Black Lotus, Lord of the Rings The War of Rohirrim, and DuckTales. Especially with Standalone Complex then, he's become known for being able to make detailed and complex sci-fi worlds, which is exactly what you need for this kind of media mix project like Project RG. And here is a quick overview of what the story is going to be like. An autonomous interstellar object from another, probably also unknown galaxy, appeared before humanity and gave us 3 super advanced technologies, which are here referred to as 3 revelations. So we've got quite a bit of biblical words going on here. But those 3 revelations are 1. Gravity control, 2. Faster than light communication, and 3. Cognitive materialization. That sounds crazy. At first, everything went perfect. Humanity managed to harness the power of these new technologies, or revelations, and what followed was an age of unprecedented prosperity. They managed to spread themselves across the entire solar system, and things were looking fantastic. But then, less than a decade after all of this began, the autonomous interstellar object went out of control and began running rampant. In the trailer, we see how the object crashes into Earth, and then we also see these weird crystal-like structures being formed, which is probably the object going rampant and creating what is described as an aggressive, self-proliferating ecosystem. For humanity, the advent of this ecosystem then became known as the Apocalypse, which is then also where we get the name from this universe from, after Apocalypse. Humanity, of course, tried to resist to the best of their abilities, but they were eventually forced to abandon the Earth, with the only silver lining being that they managed to stop the Apocalypse from going any further than Earth's orbit. And so, the year became After Apocalypse 1, the year after the first appearance of the Apocalypse. Fast forward to After Apocalypse 45. By now, the people living on the moon and in the space colonies have never known life without the Apocalypse. But finally, after all of these years, humanity is gearing up to begin a major counterattack. And central to this counterattack is, of course, a brand new Gundam, the Gundam Zero, a state-of-the-art next-generation mobile suit that was purpose-built to fight against the Apocalypse. And this machine is then piloted by our protagonist, Azumi Rei. He unfortunately lost his parents in an attack by the Apocalypse, no doubt giving him a very good reason to fight against them. And as is typical with the Gundam series, it sounds like he'll somehow stumble upon the Gundam, which is then how he ends up piloting it. Based on comments from the director, combined with the visuals from the trailer, it looks like Rei starts out as a test pilot, and then during an attack by the Apocalypse, he finds himself behind the controls of the Gundam, after which he becomes the designated pilot. This then becomes one of the main plot points of the series. How will Rei and his Gundam work together, grow together, and how will they impact the world? Because it sounds like they might have a very drastic effect on the world. We don't know how literal we should take this yet, but when Rei jumps into the Gundam, another character says that he's gonna tear the universe apart. Is this guy just being dramatic, or does the Gundam Zero have some kind of hidden power? Only time will tell. What we do know is that it's definitely gonna get some upgrades. When it first appears, it's a very basic RX-78-2S Gundam. It just has two beam sabers and what looks like a pair of head-mounted Vulcan guns. But then we see a slightly more elaborate version. It now has what appears to be shields on its forearms and a high-performance backpack. And then it gets yet another upgrade with bandages, a cape, eyes of different colors, and a very alien-looking arm. So yeah, I definitely wonder what's gonna be up with that. And what we also saw is what one of the Apocalypse enemies looks like. It looks like a Zeon mobile armor someone drew from memory. And of course, what we also got with the anime announcement were some merchandise announcements. The Gundam Zero is confirmed to be releasing as a high-grade Gunpla, a Gundam Universe action figure, a Metal Robot Spirits action figure, and a Gundam Mix-a-Mice kit. We don't know any of the release dates yet, nor do we know the prices, but we do have some nice promotional images for the Gunpla and some cool line art for the Metal Robot Spirits. And I also gotta say that I am once again surprised by how much I like the proportions for the Gundam Universe figure. They make the Zero look a bit more chunky and give the mobile suit as a whole some more heft. Ever since they overhauled the Gundam Universe line, it's just been one solid release after another. Another Gundam Zero figure then that's going to be releasing at some point for some price is the Gundam Cross, Gundam Zero, and Rei Azumi figure. The main feature of this series is that it's a dual set. There's a figure of the Gundam and a figure of the pilot, which is not shown in the promotional image just yet. And the thing with these then is that they are roughly the same size, so you can mix and match some of their parts. The main thing you can do is put the head of the pilot on the body of the mobile suit. And last but not least, it sounds like they're planning a new kind of action figure line. They say that the Zero is planned to become part of the 13cm scale articulated Gundam figure toy series. That does not sound familiar. Together with Rogue Orbit then, Alex Zero will also become part of the Gundam card game. because of course. And talking about Rogue Orbit, we also got some more information for the video game. We got line art for the Gundam Helix and the Apocalypse, and the Gundam Helix got 2 confirmed Gunpla releases. Although, just like the Gundam Zero releases, most of the information, including the release date and the price, is yet to be confirmed. The chunky Helix, together with its massive sword and rifle, will become available as a high-grade kit in 2 different colors. There's the standard release in its very subdued color scheme, and then there's the special edition in earth blue colors, or in other words, it's the Helix in the traditional red, white, and blue Gundam colors. And that was everything they told us today, so that's quite a bit of stuff to look forward to. Their whole RG project might not be as new as they want us to believe, but again, I don't think that's going to make it any less exciting. And I do believe that it's going to be a very engaging way of telling the story. There's only one, kind of problem with this way of telling the story, and that is the game is kind of spoiling a part of the ending of the anime, because they're fighting the Apocalypse in the anime, and 100 years later, in the video game, we are still fighting the Apocalypse. So while they might get a small victory in the anime, they're not going to be able to completely defeat the Apocalypse in the anime. But to wrap up the video, let's quickly mention what they didn't say. They didn't specify how long XARX Zero is going to be, so hopefully it is going to be at least 25 episodes with decent pacing. So yeah, let me know what you thought about today's announcements down below. I think I need some shut-eye now, or maybe a good coffee. As always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope everyone watching has a great evening, and I'll see you all next time.